Hi, everyone. I'm Mike Murray from the Office of International Students and Scholars here at the University of Nevada, Reno. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about studying STEM fields in the United States, and specifically more in detail about studying at a larger research-based institution, university. So I hope that you're watching this before November 6th so that you can come visit my booth at the fair and I can talk to you and answer any additional questions you might have. But I appreciate you spending the time to listen in on this presentation. So I'm going to get right into it and share my screen here. So the University of Nevada, Reno, we are an R1 research institution. So we are in a classification that puts us in the top 130 for research in the United States. So we are a larger size institution. And I did add my contact information up here. So please feel free to take a picture of that or a screenshot, and feel free to reach out to me with any questions you have. But yeah. So today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about choosing the right fit for you. There are so many different institutions to choose one. It can be kind of overwhelming. So I want to help you a little bit through that process. And then talking about STEM education, specifically here in the United States and some of the benefits. Some of the resources that you have available to you here at a larger institution in the US, research opportunities, additional ways to get involved on campus and really make the most out of your studies in the United States. And then opportunities after you graduate. So OPT stands for Optional Practical Training. And that's a work authorization that you get after you complete a program. So once you finish your studies, you can stay and work in the United States. And you don't have to stay in the same city or the same state. You can go and find a position, as long as it's in your field of study, anywhere in the United States. So let's jump right in. Choosing the right fit. Oftentimes I like to ask students how many institutions they think there are in the United States. And I usually get answers like 1,000, 2,000. But there's actually over 4,500 different institutions of higher education in the United States. So that includes, universities, community colleges, both private and public. So really, there are so many institutions for you to choose from. It can be overwhelming when you try and pinpoint what's going to be best for you. You have to keep in mind things like, the public universities and private universities, the size and the cost. There are some institutions that have, only maybe 1,000 students, and there's other really large institutions that might have close to 60,000 students. Two-year community colleges are a great option. Sometimes they have smaller class sizes, so you have more time with your professors. The admissions requirements are sometimes lower than they would be to go directly into a university. So it's a great route for many students, and is a way to be successful, and then transfer to a 4-year university or college after that for your bachelor's degrees. And then after that, there are institutions that also offer master's and PhD degrees. So if you know that your field of interest, you want to already get a master's, going to an institution that has that offered can be very beneficial. So we could talk, the whole time just about trying to pinpoint what's most important to you. But really some things come to mind like weather and climate. So really you want to look into the city. Some people really like to be in large cities. So if you want to be in a very large city, you have to think about that as well. Or if you want to be in a smaller city and the cost of living is usually cheaper. So there's so many things to think about when you're looking at the different institutions in the United States. And all of us admissions counselors are here to help you through that decision process. So one thing I like to always tell students is just because you start at one institution doesn't mean that you can't transfer. So, if you're not liking where you are, you can continue to look for a different institution after the first year. And you want to make the most of your experience. So if you're not in the right place, you did all the research you could beforehand, but you just weren't able to find that right fit and you're not enjoying it where you end up, talk to your counselors about transferring to a different institution, and then go through that process of reevaluating why you aren't in the right place and what would make it better for you, what experience you're lacking from your current institution. So really quickly, just so that you know a little bit about our institution and where a lot of what I'm going to talk about is coming from. The University of Nevada, Reno, we are an R1 research institution, and we're also a tier 1 university. In 2019, we did over $150 million in research on our campus. So it is quite a significant amount of money for research. We are considered a medium-sized university in the US. I said there are some institutions that might have 50 or 60,000. So we are in that medium-sized category. We do have over 75 different countries represented on our campus, which is something we're proud of, and then many clubs and organizations to get involved in as well. So jumping right into STEM education. So oftentimes you hear the word STEM, but oftentimes students don't know exactly what it stands for. So first, it does stand for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So oftentimes students think you have to study that specific topic. But there are some programs within business that do a lot of data analytics, information systems that can be considered STEM programs as well. So you really want to take the time to check with the institution, because there are some benefits if it is classified as a STEM program, mainly that you might be eligible for the STEM OPT extension, which could qualify you for 24 additional months of work authorization, the way the law is currently written. The other great thing about studying not just STEM in the United States, but really all of our programs, it's a very well-rounded degree. And what that means is you're not going to just be taking classes from your specific major. You're going to take classes from language, from anthropology, sociology, and you're going to get a very well-rounded degree by taking those classes from outside your specific program. We do have very high quality programs, so not just at our institution, but throughout the United States. There are amazing engineering programs, science programs, technology programs, and a mixture and combination of all of these kind of combined and intermingle together. For example, like our neuroscience program is a great example. They work very closely with our psychology program and kind of study the way that the brain works and reacts. You do get hands-on practical experience, which is probably one of the biggest benefits to studying in the United States. This photo here on the right, you can see this is actually our first year engineering class students. And the first project that they do in their first semester is they have to design and build a hovercraft, and it has to float. So they're kind of testing their models, and it's all engineering students. So it's not just electrical engineering, but it's mechanical, civil, environmental. They all come together and they have to learn how to work in a group and work through the process of failing and finding ways to improve their design. And then the research opportunities. So, in the United States, you have a lot of opportunity to get involved in research, especially when you're at an institution of our size. There's PhD students on campus, postdocs, faculty members and professors that are all working on their specific areas of research. And you get the opportunity to, be proactive in your search for those opportunities. Scholarships. Oftentimes, institutions will have not only general scholarship funds, but department-specific funds. And those department scholarships in STEM majors tend to be a little bit higher than other majors. So that is one of the benefits. And then, of course, job and internship opportunities. That OPT again comes up. CPT is curricular practical training, which is a kind of an internship opportunity for students during their studies. and then OPT is usually after you complete your program. So like I said, when we're talking about a larger institution, right, there are many degrees to choose from. So not just the bachelor's, master's, and PhDs, right? And any combination of those. So if you go to a school that offers your degree program throughout that process, you're making those connections with those faculty members who eventually might want to keep you on for their research teams and offer you some type of funding for your advanced degrees, your graduate studies. The ability to change majors is one of the things that I like most about the US education system. So if you change in the first year or two, oftentimes you'll still be on track to graduate within 4 years. Now that is dependent on what you're changing from and what you're changing to. And if you have, especially in STEM, if you have the right math and calculus levels to make that transition seamlessly. So obviously, if you're going from something like chemical engineering to environmental engineering, it would be pretty seamless. But if you're going from chemical engineering to economics, there might be classes that you would have to take, and some of those would have to apply as electives, the ones that you've already taken. But really, you do have a lot of opportunities to make the degree what you want. Some of our students choose to double major. Adding language minors is very common. Within some of our STEM fields, some students know they want to, start their own business and they want to create and develop new technology and things like that. So they also want to have a minor in, in business so that they can manage their own companies eventually. So I think that that is one of those really great things that studying in the US has to offer. Really quickly down here, you can see our robotics team recently won a international robotics challenge with a prize of $2 million. So it is very impressive things that you can get yourself involved in when you come to some larger research institutions. The other thing that I like to highlight and point out is the opportunity for students, these additional resources that are available to you on a larger campus. So for example, on our campus, we've spent $850 million on new buildings and state-of-the-art research facilities. The bottom picture here on the left is our new engineering building, which was just completed last year. But really, those are just some of the things that you have access to. Really, the Career Services and Professional Development Office is one of the best places to go. They will do mock interviews for students. They will work on your CV with you, and they'll help you through that process of understanding how to market yourself. And then the Office of Undergraduate Research. This is a key component. Getting any research experience at the undergraduate level will make yourself much more marketable when you go to either a job or go into industry, or you go on to your master's or PhD programs. So in our undergraduate research office, some of our students have worked on projects for NASA, and they've got to present their findings to NASA engineers. But really, there's just so many ways to be involved. The main thing I'll say about that is you really have to be proactive. Just going to class is not going to have your professor come up to you and ask if you want, you want to be involved in their research. You have to reach out to them, email them, contact them, and really put yourself out there as somebody that wants that experience. And they are more than willing to help you find opportunities in the areas that you're most interested in. And then, science libraries. So we have a science and engineering library that has 3D printers, laser cutters, things like that. The picture here on the bottom right, you'll actually see this is our earthquake engineering lab. It's one of the largest labs in the entire world. So we get researchers from all around the Pacific Ring, from Japan, Taiwan, Chile, that come here to use our research facilities because they can't do their experiments anywhere else in the world. And then getting involved on campus. So outside of academics, you really have to take advantage of clubs, organizations, local events, whether it's the city that you're living in. Really, you want to get integrated to the campus community and get those things that will build up your resume by being part of different clubs and organizations. Usually there are clubs and organizations that are centered around professional development as well. And then afterwards, career fairs. So getting connected to different companies in the area is very important. So even if you're in your first year and you're not able to work off campus, still, going through that process and meeting those people is very, very important. Professors are a great way to connect to the industry and companies. And then graduate studies, often that, these are fully funded positions. So making those connections early in your programs, you might get offered something, in the future. So one of those is the graduates, teaching or research assistantships. Those are valued usually at, almost the full cost of tuition. And there's just so many of them available within the STEM fields. But really, again, you have to be the one that's proactive, researching and looking for these opportunities. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you still have the time to come by my booth. I look forward to meeting you, but if not, take another screenshot of my contact information here. Reach out to me. I'm always happy to talk to students and set up Zoom meetings, one-on-one Zoom meetings. So thank you again for joining, and I look forward to meeting you at the fair on November 6th. Thank you. Bye-bye.